Head injuries seem to be a very definitive split on how you manage problems in the that might come up later. Example, new client, soccer player, dealing with a foot problem. And he's in and out of different opinions on doctors, different opinions on what the images are showing, different opinions on how to manage the issue, different opinions on how long it's going to take. He's just stuck between a rock and a hard place. Just wants to play the sport that he loves, just wants to get back to it. And for me, anytime I get a new client, again, I don't like to work with the pain clients because it's harder, honestly. Like I'm not that strong, but the ones that keep falling through cracks kind of get like they end up kind of coming to me, and I work within my scope. I'm not telling him push it, be into pain. I'm looking at how do we make it feel better. So if you think about any foundational injury, it starts with ouch, something doesn't feel right or feel good anymore. Then we go through the imaging and the opinions and all that. But all I do, I focus on the event. So what happened? This happened. Okay, where did it hurt? It hurt here. What did that hurt feel like? It felt like this. Okay, now we've got the event. Talk to me about what happened before what happened. Meaning, typically, the pain event, the injury event, is not a standalone event. There's something that has happened that adds up to that moment. And in my education, I was taught about a threat neuro-matrix and modern pain science from a brain perspective. Did you know that we don't have pain receptors in our body? So literally, my elbow cannot send a pain signal to my brain saying, hey, I'm hurt. It's from the top down. We have nociception. Nociception is a threat signaler. So, hey, I'm running. Guy kicks my ankle. I will get a threat response, a nociceptive response. Hey, something happened to the tissue right over there in around my ankle. And then your brain, based on its health, and what it's been going through and what you've done to it in the past will determine what happens next. For some, it's, ooh, that sucked, shake it off, and I'll be all right. For others, it's, man, this is getting worse, and I'm not finding relief, and I gotta stop. I'm worried about it. I don't think I can play anymore. So what determines that? Well, it's the brain. And what I'm finding is those that are just stuck in multiple opinions, multiple directions, multiple timelines. There are head injuries in the past. And I'm starting to think that we need to address that, not the ankle. And I've experienced that personally and professionally, working with people. The more head injuries someone has, the less it is about rehabbing their foot. It's much more about rehabbing their vestibular system and their brainstem and their cortex and their cerebellum. There might be some receptors related, but most people that get like the quick fix or everything worked as planned, they don't have head injuries. And I find that fascinating. I think that there needs to be a delineation. You get hurt. Our first question is, did you hit your head? Not at that event. But have you hit your head? And for this one, yeah. Like, the ankle thing for me was like the least amount of the problem. That was the kind of the tip, the straw that broke the camel's back. But stuff's been going on, and it hasn't reached a threshold. And that's what the pain neuromatrix is. That's what the threat neuromatrix is. It's this idea that every individual carries their own little bucket. We'll call it a threat bucket, a stress bucket, one of the two. we're constantly modulating that threat stress. I hit my head as a little kid. Ooh, I'm carrying a little bit more in that bucket. I had a major oral surgery. That again, we don't rehab things completely. We rehab them to be good enough. If you get rehab, I didn't get referral. Hey, you got your wisdom teeth out. Keep it clean. There was no, oh, let's send you to an oral rehab therapist to make sure all sensation, all function is back neurologically and mechanically. That never happened. I actually watched a video of, I found my old camcorder. I think I missed my calling. I wish someone would have said, Joe, you should do this film stuff. You're good at it, and it seems like it's all you want to do. Like I had a camera around all the time in high school. I forgot. Head injuries. My memory sucks. But I found my camcorder. I just moved. Look at the new place. Isn't that fancy? But I was like, oh man, I don't even remember what's on this. And I start going through it, and there was my senior project for high school was on there. And the swelling on the right side of my face was obvious. Like, I didn't know it at the time. No one knew it at the time. But looking at it now with my education, I went, that was a long-term issue. I had a local infection from my wisdom tooth surgery in my summer going into my senior year. That had a massive impact on me for 2 decades. I first learned because I was in a course learning about the trigeminal nerve. The trigeminal nerve is the nerve that innervates the sensation of your face, innervates the sensation in your mouth, innervates each individual tooth on where it is in your mouth. It also provides the sensation of your teeth. It is sensation on the tongue. It is also sensation on that little part of the ear. It's also sensation and function of your sinuses. This nerve goes into the orbital canal and is a part of eyes. It's a massive nerve. And mine was damaged and I had no idea. But then I watched this video and it's like, oh my, like, it's obvious. But when things happen and they just slowly, gradually change, we're not wired to remember that stuff. So, like, rehabbing that stuff is not complete. So, like, for me, going back to the threat bucket, stress bucket, I'll give you my example. You can think back to your own history. If you haven't taken your own health history, do it. Do it once. Do it a couple months later. It's going to evolve. You're going to remember things that you didn't remember in the past. So big things that changed my threat were that oral surgery, that major infection that lasted for 2 decades. Like I started doing smelling salts, which is ammonia, which is also a cranial nerve 5 assessment. Noxious smells. Anytime we smell something noxious, cranial nerve 5 picks it up, sends it to the brain. Cranial nerve 5 lives in the pons, which is also responsible for extension muscles, so backside of body muscles. Go figure. Noxious smell. What do? Extension muscles, back muscles. Whoa, don't want that. Why do we have something so focused on like ammonia? Decaying body, decaying flesh, emits ammonia. So it is a part of our evolutionary history to be able to go, don't eat that, walk away. Makes a lot of sense. But we just don't live in that world where we're focused on these details. We just said the neck up doesn't matter. If you need to work on the neck up, go to a psychologist or take drugs. We'll focus on working on the neck down. And that was one of the biggest mistakes that we've made so far as humans, in my opinion. We just didn't know. But to just neglect that your brain is the driver and foundation of everything seems a bit silly in today's world with what we do know about neurology. So that was a major threat. I said, dude, I'm an idiot. I need to start exploring more cranial nerve 5 stuff because it's obvious that I have some existing rehab necessary. When I got this is the most potent smelling salt in the world. And I don't the bottle's not even open. I just had to unzip the bag and I held it up there. No response. It's like, great. So cranial nerve 5 still has a whole lot of rehab to do. And since, like, putting focus into getting sensation back, working on different cranial nerve 5 functions, now I go, ooh, I get the response that is supposed to happen. So that oral surgery just raised my overall level of the threat in my bucket. I have too many head injuries for one lifetime. Those increased it. I wasn't seeing clearly anymore. So now the world is a little bit blurry. I'm sensitive to sound a little bit more. And the idea with that threat neuromatrix and that threat bucket is that as soon as you reach a certain threshold, you start getting overflow out of your bucket. What does that overflow look like in real life? It starts with a reduction in performance. The worst soccer I played in my life was at the end of my career. A reduction in performance. I also dealt with the next step. Always aches and pains. Always. I'm an athlete. No, I was an unhealthy athlete. Like, yes, you're going to deal with discomfort. Yes, you're going to deal with aches and pains as an athlete. But that's your brain's way of saying, hey, man or lady, you got to be aware. You got to be a little bit slower so that we can keep up. We're dealing with things up here neurologically. We're tired. We're under-recovered. But we don't look at it that way. It's just, oh, yeah, you're an athlete. So aches and pains start. Those continue. So now you're not performing at the level that you want. Sometimes you will. Often you won't. And then you're going to deal with aches and pains all the time. If those aches and pains continue and you still don't do anything for yourself, then you start getting injuries and illness. How many people get sick after big stressful bouts? That's a overflowing threat bucket. So with this new client, it was like, okay, you've got pain in your foot and you have a reduction in performance because your foot hurts. Sounds like an overflowing threat bucket. Hey, tell me about what you've done to yourself so I can get to know what is it in your personal threat bucket that is creating this response. First question I ask with everybody, have you ever hit your head? Have you ever had a head injury? Yep. A few. And those were like the diagnosed ones. But the boating and just having a blast and getting slammed into the water, micro trauma most likely. The real hard knock against an opponent might have created a little bit more of a problem. So I'm thinking that those that are not finding solutions, like there are plenty of people that find solutions in our medical system. I am not discounting our medical system at all. It is amazing. It is powerful. And it keeps people alive and gets them back to functioning in a way that without it, good luck. Like if a bone is now bent that way and it's not supposed to, you need to fix that. And our medical system is phenomenal. You get in a car accident and you need something fixed, your face, whatever, we can do that. But hey, I was playing my sport and a guy raked his cleat right down the back of my ankle and now I haven't been able to play for 6 months? Because my foot hurts and every time I walk it hurts and there's pain in my foot and it hurts. And I go to the doctor and it's let's take some time off. Oh, that's not enough. Maybe more time. Well, this image shows that it might be a problem. Those people we need to do a better job with. And I think there are a lot of them out there. Like I think that the current issue for a lot of people that have a history of head injuries, we're not going to resolve that with our system. We might make it good enough, but what's the highest rate of future injury? An injury you've had in the past. So are we rehabbing or are we just biding time, waiting for something else to happen that I'll have to go back to my doctor for? And man, that's a really interesting thought process that I like. Again, I'm making this video because it's become definitive. I get people coming in saying, hey, they're always referred, word of mouth, 100% of the way. I help someone, they refer someone else that's just getting lost and falling through the cracks of our system. So this is just another example of that. And again, it's like head injuries. All the people that like botched surgery that didn't work, something that's not healing, all of them have had head injuries in their past. And I'm thinking that we need to start thinking about head injuries much bigger than just concussion protocol, return to play protocol, and you're good to go. There are long-lasting effects in that threat bucket that need to be addressed for that person to be healthy long-term and to get back to what they want to do. So why head injuries? I've talked about it in other videos. I'm going to keep it short today, but head injuries are energy system injuries, meaning brain bounces around up there when you get abrupt stoppage. It creates bruising. The bruising creates a change in blood flow. Doesn't ever have to go back to normal or back to what it was. Often it gets back, but just a little less. Now, instead of an A plus, now you're working with an A. Something else happens, you're at an A minus. Something else happens, you're at a B plus. And we just kind of degrade because we aren't in a system that puts things back together. It's just, again, my oral surgery. You're good, bye. My head injuries. Just don't let them sleep tonight. No rehab, no conversations on breathing drills, walking, cognitive tasks, vestibular rehab. So what's going on? Head injuries create that problem. They bounce around and something changes in the blood flow, which will change the activation. Activation needs blood flow. Just like anything else, take away all the blood out of your heart, not working. Take out all the blood all out of your lungs, not going to work. Take the blood out of your bicep, not going to function. Like blood flow is a massive part of it, and obviously the oxygenation, CO2 gas exchange from our lungs is a big driver in all of those processes. So back to that threat bucket. I hit my head. What can happen? Well, the most commonly damaged area after a head injury is called the vestibular system. It is a physical system. It sits in your skull. You just can't see it like you can see an elbow or a wrist or a finger, especially a finger pointed 90 degrees the wrong direction. But what if you could? What if you got to see your semicircular canals and your otolith organs? And you got to see that, let's look at them like light bulbs. You got 5 light bulbs on each side. Now you got like this one's flickering in and out, this one's flickering in and out, this one's just not working anymore, this one's flickering in and out because you've hit your head. What does your balance system do? It tells you where you are and where you're going. If you don't know, if you're not getting those signals, and you would never know unless you tested it. If you're not getting those, your brain is going to be at a full threat bucket. If you don't know definitively where you are and where you're going, it seems so dumb to say that. But it's all subconscious. You don't get to actively go, I know where I am. No, we have to understand the representation of vestibular dysfunction. Do you have gut problems? Could be vestibular related. Do you have major anxiety, depression, irritation? Could be vestibular oriented. Do you have back pain, spine pain, neck pain? Could be vestibular oriented. What about shoulder stuff, hip stuff? Could be. Did you know that there are direct connections from vestibular canal or vestibular activation to feet? Kind of makes sense. If we're going to change where we are, our feet need to get us there, unless we're rolling around, which is an option. But I don't think most people are going to roll from the grocery store to the parking lot. They're probably going to use their feet. So we have neurologic connections in all of this, and we just don't test it. Like, you have to have like really bad head injury with a long-term symptom. This guy didn't. He just hit his head, returned to play within the return to play protocol. But it seems, and we haven't started today, was just history day. And that's how I start with everybody, is just tell me about yourself. I don't know. I have too many options to explore. Like, not a good business model if I'm just going, let's try 5,000 things. No, I need to whittle it down. I need to find the starting point. And the starting point is based on what you've done. So again, he hurt his foot. What happened before what happened happened? Head injuries. Not a lot of like a slight groin stuff, but not a lot of bad stuff has happened to this person, and yet he can't play his sport. And again, that's where I think I'm going to wrap it because I'm getting tired. I just moved. I'm feeling like I debated on this, but I was like, I need to do this. Like I feel better when I make these videos, and it gets a lot of thought process out of my mind, so I can fill with other thought processes. But that's the idea, is that we're not looking at the right thing. We're looking at the result, not what got them there. And that's like, look at any motivational speaker, any book on excellence, whatever. It's the process. You can't focus on the result. You have to focus on the process. And I think we're starting to go nuts in our medical system because it's all result. Oh, okay, that ankle hurts. Well, is it the tendon? Is it the ligament? Is it the bone? What do we got going on here? That's the result. It led because of a full threat bucket. And that's the difference, and that's the paradigm shift. Is it's not a structure thing, it's a brain thing. It could be it's a brain structure thing, but it's not a foot structure thing. It's not a muscle thing. It's not a bone thing. But that also really challenges me. It's like, okay, let's say you got a foot problem. You get it imaged, and they conclude that it's a bone fracture. Can you have a bone fracture and not have a problem? Can you have a bone fracture and not have pain, not have dysfunction, and still play? I think based on research, the answer is yes. So again, the result or how it led to that result. And the people that do get help that way, they don't have the head injuries. They don't have a long laundry list of things that they've done to themselves that has raised their threat level to be overflowing and their brain being very unhappy and upset. So think about that. Is the foot the problem, or is it the brain? And I'm not starting. That's why I'm doing these videos. It's conclusive for me because I work with it. I pursued the education and I'm on an island. I'm fine with that. I don't need to be hey, he's doing everything that everyone else does. No, I'm doing things that no one else is doing, but it's helped me and it's helped all the people I've worked for. So, structure or brain? The event or the history that led up to the event? Those are the big questions in the room.